YouTube, what is up guys? I am going to teach you how to start skateboarding, essentially. I'm making this video for the people out there that are thinking about starting to skateboard. This is what you're going to need to focus on day one, and I'm gonna teach you how to move around the park, some moves that even if you are uncoordinated, the first things that you should kind of aim toward. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna go over some terminology, so if you do go to the skate park and other skateboarders are talking, you don't feel like an alien, because we have some weird, there's a trick called the flamingo. Let's start skateboarding. First thing, you are of course going to need a skateboard, but if you are not sure that you want to dive deep into it, don't go and spend a ton of money on a professional, good quality skateboard. But if you choose to go the opposite route and get a very cheap skateboard from Walmart or Target, just keep in mind that those, especially if you're a full-size adult or just, like you've grown up and you're a teenager or something, and those aren't gonna work that well for you. So what I'm talking about is like, just find someone's old skateboard that is good, that rolls, that has metal trucks and decent wheels, because the stuff that's like $20 at Target or Walmart often does not roll, and it's not going to be an accurate representation of skateboarding, but it also could be unsafe in certain situations. For little kids, it's a much better situation because they don't have a lot of weight. It's more likely to roll appropriately, but even if you're a kid and you want to actually get serious about it, you're going to need some better equipment. But for this day one, just make sure you have a skateboard that rolls and have fun. But if you do want one of my skateboards, my online skate shop is theshredquarters.com. We have youth completes, we have skateboards for adults, we have everything you need. If you have a local shop, please support them, and they can always carry our gear. But if not, we have you. Let's learn how to skateboard. We're gonna go over rolling on a skateboard. Of course, rolling on a skateboard, I shouldn't have to tell you what that is, but I'm gonna do it. It's when you're moving on your skateboard. Now, there are two ways to ride a skateboard. There's regular footed, which is with your left leg leading, and then there's goofy footed, which is what I am, and that's with your right foot leading. You might already know which way you feel comfortable, and whichever way you think is just more normal, go with that. It doesn't make a difference, it's just what your body is telling you. There are certain people that are very naturally talented and they can just get on a skateboard day one and roll around. I'm gonna teach you a few different levels, so if this is your first day and you don't know how to roll, if you have chosen goofy footed, you're gonna put your right foot at the front of the board. I suggest having it vertical like this, okay? Then you're gonna push off, and even if you're unsteady, just do it slow, okay? It's all right, just a baby push, put your foot on. Stand there until you stop rolling, and then get comfortable and step off. You can do this, okay? You might fall, just like anything in life, you might fall, but just take it step by step and only do what you are absolutely comfortable with. If you feel like you're not naturally balanced and you figure this out day one, that's a huge success, okay? And that's great, you accomplished something. If you're regular footed, it's gonna look like this. Okay? Now, if you're really having trouble with that, I suggest going really slow. If you don't want to roll at all, just practice going like this. And standing here and then taking your foot off. In fact, putting your foot back down is the next step in rolling. Once you are comfortable with going like this and standing here for a second, we're gonna go to actively pushing on a skateboard. So what you do is you do the initial push that I taught you right over there. You're rolling, and you're gonna put your foot back down on the concrete, push off, pull it back on. You're gonna practice this until you can go like this. That is rolling. If you're one of the talented people that already got that down, that's awesome, and we can move on to the next stuff. But if you're feeling shaky on that, I just highly suggest you just keep going, have fun. It's fun to roll around on this thing. Just keep doing it until you start to feel like, all right, I'm a little more confident. Let's move on to the next step. So now, once you know how to roll, you need to worry about where you're rolling, all right? There are two ways to turn on a skateboard. One is simply just leaning. As I'm rolling, if I apply pressure to my toes, I'm gonna start going this way. Now, at the same time, if you apply pressure to your heels, I'm gonna start rolling the other way. All right, now the other way of turning is physically picking up your nose and aiming it in a different direction, which is more commonly used for like turning around. But just to show you, okay, you're gonna move your foot to the back and you're gonna apply pressure and you're gonna move your nose wherever you wanna go. This might seem very strange because it's gonna be you using your skateboard in something that's been unlike all the other rolling stuff, but once you get used to this, it really does develop a new feel of control for your skateboard that will be more helpful in more advanced maneuvers. Mess around with both of those types of turning, and if you are feeling comfortable with those, we can move on to some more advanced maneuvering. If you have a skate park, it's a perfect place to do it. If you don't, you're probably not gonna be able to attempt these unless you have some really weird street spot near you, but we're gonna use these embankments. This is kind of one of the more mellow ones at the skate park. So there are two things. I personally would have rolled into it first, so let's start with that. So the smaller the bank, the better, because if you are not used to this, you could slip out and get injured. So be careful moving ahead. This is not for everyone day one, that is for sure. And it's not even for everyone week one, possibly month one. Like sometimes it takes a second to build up to this, but I have seen some really naturally talented people, so I'm covering some of the more advanced things. If you are going to try this, one, you start like this, okay? When you push off, make sure you have a wider stance on the board. This is gonna kind of give you a more like just better center of balance for taking what's about to happen, and then get a little low. So like don't stand straight up because that runs the risk of slipping out a little easier. You're going to put your foot on, sit a little low, and just ride it out. We're not worrying about dropping in. Don't be a hero, don't try to drop in. Definitely don't mess with the quarter pipes day one because those are a much different monster. But a slight embankment, whether it's your driveway or an actual skate park bank, try that, okay? We'll go over it one more time. We're gonna lead foot, we're gonna put our foot on, and we're just gonna stay here and lay low. Going into the bank, you are gonna have to kind of lean into it, all right? Don't go huge. If you go huge, you're gonna like slip out the opposite way and your board's gonna go back up that way. But kind of lean into it, use your shoulders, they're powerful weapons. When you're on the board, just go like this a little bit. And then when you get down to the bottom, likewise, recenter them. Also, just feeling it out and where your balance needs to be, that is more effective than actually thinking like, okay, let's put 2 degrees this way and 5 degrees that way. Just vibe it out, especially if you have a smaller bank. It's gonna be very easy to kind of get the feel for it. All right, the next thing is rolling up and back down. And the last two things, these are easily the ones like, okay, I could totally see these being really hard on day one. So do not be hard on yourself, and going into all of this, knowing what I said earlier, skateboarding can be dangerous, so be careful. Only push yourself to where you feel comfortable. If you feel like you're gonna get hurt, that's usually your body saying something about what you're trying. Just back off, relax, and go with what you feel good about, especially day one. But we're gonna roll up onto the bank, we're gonna stand there, and we're just gonna roll back down. You're gonna need a little more speed, because the more speed you have, the further up you go. If you're not going that fast at all, you're just not gonna make it onto the bank. So I'm gonna do a bigger push, and I'm just gonna put the same wide stance, bring my center of balance a little lower, and I'm just gonna ride it up and ride it back down. You do kind of gotta like, as you go up it, lean your shoulders back a little bit, like which brings your center of balance back. And then when it comes back down, you're just gonna recenter them. Like I said before though, vibe it out. If you've done that, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. If you have never rolled on a skateboard until today and you managed to do that, that is so good, and you should be really proud of yourself. You should go eat a burrito or a taco or a tostada. The last maneuver I'm gonna tell you about is basically like turning on a bank, like a kick turn, I guess that you guys are calling it. Some people call it a kick turn. I usually just call it like turning around on a bank. But you're gonna roll up at like kind of like a 45-degree angle, and you're using the maneuver where you press your tail down and redirect your nose. You're actually gonna aim your nose back down the bank, and you're gonna successfully like alter your direction on a bank. That's not a catchy name for it, by the way. So that's what I did. I just rolled up, I applied pressure, I redirected it. Now, having a 10-year-old son that has learned this, I know the most common problem with this is not completely aiming your nose the right direction, and you basically kind of have to exaggerate it. Don't do it too much, because then you're gonna end up falling. But a lot of times, this is what you'll do, and you'll find yourself not rolling. You know, so if that's happening to you, all you gotta do is just kind of swing your nose a little faster, and you could roll up at a very mellow angle and not have to do much to make this trick happen. So that was a really mellow version, but if you're not getting back down the bank comfortably, or you're having to do it repeatedly, one, that's really good board control that you can do that, but two, try to do it in one motion. Swing your nose faster. If you, day one, successfully have done all of those things, you have very good center of balance and board control and just balance in general, and I think you're gonna do great skateboarding. If you are having trouble doing some of these things, it is completely normal. Skateboarding is one of the most hard things in the world, and the fact that you're out there doing it, trying it, is awesome. Don't be hard on yourself, even if you didn't even push off on the board and roll your first day. I think a ton of people have problems doing that, and they keep going and don't give up, and then eventually can do kickflip front boards and all those fun things. I hope that was helpful when it comes to moving around. I'm gonna talk some more about some terminology and just kind of what it's like to enter the world of skateboarding feeling like you don't know anything. I know that's an awkward situation, so let's chat about it. All right, so the skateboard. I'm gonna label it all for you real fast. The wood part is your deck. Typically when somebody says skateboard, they're referring to the whole thing, but the wood part is specifically your deck. We have the grip tape on top. Skateboard sizes come in anywhere from like 7.2 to like 8.5 traditionally. You can get some smaller. For instance, my online skate shop, we have youth completes. If you're like a kid trying to enter skateboarding, that's typically good. But if you're an adult, I would say start with like an 8-inch deck and then just spread them out. Go like try an 8.125 or 8.25 or a 7.75 and find your preference. But 8 is a good medium number. Your grip tape, you know, there's different grits, but that's not something you need to worry about. Just get grip tape on your skateboard and it'll work and it'll be great. All right, we of course have your wheels. Inside your wheels are your bearings. The metal thing holding everything together are the trucks, okay? Right here, these blue things are bushings. This bolt in the center of it is your kingpin. The screws and nuts holding it together is your hardware. This is the nose of your skateboard. This is the tail of your skateboard. These are the sides of your skateboard. And the kind of curviness you see here, that is much like it is on any piece of wood. It's referred to as the concave. Wheel sizes generally are in like 52, 53, 54. If you're new to skateboarding, I suggest going with a 52 or a 53. If you have bigger wheels, it's gonna be harder to do certain tricks, but you'll go fast. If you have smaller wheels, it might be easier to do certain tricks, but you'll have a hard time going as fast as you might want to. So the medium wheels are a really good starting point. The most basic tricks you're going to learn, or you're gonna hear about, is of course the ollie, and that's just where you jump on your skateboard. If you can try that day one, that's a whole separate video, but congratulations. That is the bread and butter of skateboarding. You're definitely gonna wanna keep this in mind. Some of the easier tricks to learn would be a pop shove it, and that's where the board is gonna kind of turn 180, but you won't. You stay the same. So watch this. That's your pop shove it. And then of course, probably the most popular skateboarding trick is the kickflip, which is like a barrel roll with your skateboard. So there you guys go. I feel like that's a lot of good information to start with on your day one. Just watch a bunch of skate videos and you'll eventually suck all this information in and you'll know all of it and it'll be great. It is, however, a little intimidating just to show up at the skate park. So all of the stuff I talked about, you can practice right in your driveway, in your garage. If you have an unfinished basement maybe, you can get the hang of the basics anywhere. So do it, but I highly suggest don't be too intimidated about the skate park. Most skate parks, everyone I've ever been to, is full of people that just love skateboarding and they're just nice, genuinely welcoming people. You will, of course, in all things in life, find people that are not welcoming and just ignore them. If anyone has anything bad to say, they're not somebody that you'd probably want to be around anyway, just ignore them and focus on the positive things. I guarantee you, the majority of the time, you're gonna meet really genuinely nice, welcoming people. Skateboarding is family. It really is. Everywhere I go, the average skateboarder is just like, hey, you're one of me, because we do the same thing and we both love this. So it's a beautiful thing. Skateboarding teaches you how to fail because it's so hard, and learning how to fail is probably up there with the most important lessons you can learn in life, because life isn't easy, nor is skateboarding, but life is not easy and you have to be able to get back up and try again. And this wooden toy teaches this beautifully. So guys, have fun. I know I've done a lot of how-to videos, so if you want to do a deep dive on different aspects or certain tricks, you can try to search them up on my channel. If you have a specific trick or kind of idea or area of skateboarding that you'd like me to talk about, let me know. I hope I didn't talk your ear off too much, but if you need skateboarding gear of your own, like I said earlier, my online skate shop is theshredquarters.com. We have youth completes, we have adult size skateboards, anything you need to get skating is there for you. But if you have a local shop, please support them. That's like somebody that loves skateboarding and right there in your community, support them. They can always carry our gear, but if not, if you don't have a shop or they won't carry us, we are here for you. And that's it. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you soon. You have gotten to the secret trick day one that you can do, and that's called the baby leaf trick, which was named by my child, but it was his first trick and it was my first trick too when I was a kid. All right, so you put your feet under your skateboard, not all the way under. You just want it like on the edge, like your toes right here. And you have successfully done the baby leaf trick.